Hi, my name is Ulf or Toby Roennqvist, and this is my midterm for PE 163 with the student card as a verification right there. And this is my partner Jenny that I'll be working with. And the first thing that I want to show off is when she is doing she's front choking attack. And what you do is you lower your left shoulder, raise your right shoulder, and then turn quickly to break free from the attack. So again, she is holding my neck. I am dropping my left shoulder, raising my right shoulder, and breaking free. Now I'm going to show you the front choking again, but with using my arm as well to break free. So my attacker is holding my throat. I lower my left shoulder, I raise my right shoulder, and I take my arm across to break free. So again, she's choking me. I'm lowering my left shoulder, raising my right shoulder, using my arm to break free. In this one, I'm gonna show you when she's choking me, and I'm gonna use my arm bar to break free. Sorry about that. So my attacker is choking me. I'm lowering my left. I am taking my arm and I'm putting my thumb between her thumb and the index finger. I am turning and pressing on her elbow and hyperextending the arm. If I wish to cause her some pain, I just push very hard on her elbow. So again, my opponent is choking me. I lower my left elbow. I take my arm. I put my thumb between her index finger and thumb. I turn and push on her elbow. On this one, I'm going to show when my opponent is choking me from the rear. So she's choking me from the rear. I step back with my right foot. I lift my right arm and break free. So again, my opponent is choking me from the back. I step back, lift my right arm, and break free. On this one, she's choking me from the rear, and I'm going to use my arm bar attack, I should say. So my opponent
You're
is
not attacking.
No, I'm not attacking. So my opponent is choking me from the rear. I step back, I lift my right shoulder, and I turn, and I put it on my left shoulder, and I push. If I want to cause harm, I just push hard on her elbow. So again, she's choking me from the rear. I step back, I use my right arm and come around, put it on my shoulder, and push. On this one, we're doing a crossed arm bar to break free from a rear choke attack. So my opponent is choking me from the back. I take both her arms, I step back, and I twist. So again, my opponent is choking me from the back. I put my arms around her wrists. I step back, and I twist.
Okay.
On this one, I'm going to show the pull down step back technique on a rear arm choking. So my opponent is choking me. I want to turn my head so I don't have my neck right in front of hers. I take my right arm, put it by her wrist. I go under and I turn her arm. So again, she is choking me with her arm. I turn my head. I put with my elbow, sorry. I take my hand, I put it on her wrist. I step back and I twist her arm. On this one, I'm going to show when I'm laying down and breaking free when she's strangled me from above with one knee on the ground. Hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on here. I'll do my best so you guys can see what's going on. So my opponent is over me and choking me with one knee on the ground. I raise my same leg, in this case my right leg, and with my full body power, I turn to shove her off. So again, it's a little bit hard to show off here, but hopefully you can see. My attacker is on me. I raise my leg, and with my full body power, I knock her off me. Now it's the same one, and I'm going to use the head twist defense, and now she is with both her knees on the ground. So again, I'm laying down. My opponent is choking me, but now with both knees on the ground. I take my hands, I put them in a praying position. I'm putting them in a praying position, and I break free. Once I've done that, I one arm on her head, the other one on her cheek, and I twist her off my body. Hopefully you'll be able to see. It's a little bit hard to show again. This one I'm doing this when she's holding my arm, and I'm gonna use a straight arm defense. So my opponent is holding my hand. I turn, and I pull it towards me full strength. So again, she's holding. I pull, and I break free. Here's the same one. My opponent's holding my arm, and I'm gonna use the outside push across defense. So again, my opponent is holding my hand. I turn on the outside. I twist my arm, and I push it across. So again, my opponent is holding my hand. I go on the outside. I turn my hand, and I push it across. Now I'm showing again when she's holding my arm, and I'm going to use the hyperextend my opponent's fingers. So she's holding my arm. Let's see if I remember this. I turn, and I take my hand, and then I slide it, hyperextending her arm. So let's show that one more time. She's holding my arm. I turn it inwards. I take my other arm, put it on her elbow, and then slide and hyperextend the arm. And now straight arm attack, and I'm gonna hyperextend the wrist. So my opponent is holding me. I take my hand, I put it on her fingers, I turn, and then I twist my arm and put it on her wrist. Then I use my left hand and pull it up like that, forcing her down or like away from me. So again, she's holding my wrist. I take my other hand, I put it on her hand, I turn, I lift up and away. Here's a crossed arm, and I'm going to use the lift out defense. So my opponent is holding my right arm with her right arm. I take my right arm to the outside, and I pull. Again, she's holding my right arm with her right arm. I take my right arm, pull it to the outside, and break free. Now I'll be demonstrating the push across defense. So my opponent is holding my arm. I turn it up, and I turn my hand, push it across. Again, she is holding my hand. I turn it to the inside, turn my arm, push it across. And now crossed arm, hyperextending the fingers. My opponent is holding me. I turn, I put my other hand on her wrist, and I hyperextend the fingers. Again, she's holding my arm. I turn, I put my other hand on her wrist. I pull down, hyperextending the fingers. Crossed arm attack, hyperextending the wrist. My attacker is grabbing me. I pull up. I take my other hand. I put it on her hand, and I push. So again, my attacker is holding my arm. I turn, put my other hand on her hand, and I push. Now my attacker is grabbing me with two arms. I make a fist. I take my other arm, I step back, and I pull it free. So again, she's holding me with both her arms. I make a fist. I turn, I take my arm, step, and pull it out. Now showing the push across defense. So again, she's holding me with two arms. I can either go to the left, push across. I could also go to the right, push across. Now I'm going to show you hyperextending the wrist. So she's holding me with both arms. I turn it in. I put my left hand on her hand. I turn my hand, and I push. So again, she's holding my wrist. Turn in, put hand on her hand, turn the right hand, and push. And now she's holding me with both arms again. I'm hyperextending the fingers. So she's holding my arm. I turn it outwards. I put my other hand on her wrist, and I pretty hard pull down on her fingers. So again, she's holding me with both her arms. I'm turning, putting it on her wrist, hyperextending the fingers. Now my opponent is holding both my hands, and I can either use an outside, bring it out, I push defense. So again, outside push. Or I could also do inside pull my hands out. So again, inside